when you want to speak, you should push the button if you do want it to go through the audio system. If you don't want it to go through the audio system, you don't have to push the button, but we'd encourage you to do so.
Can you hear us, Steve?
Am I there now? I'm there now. Okay. I'd like to turn things over to Sarah Cox, who will welcome you again and also go through the roll call. Sarah?
Okay, good evening, everybody. It's great to see you. We'll start with Mr. Frederick Adkins.
Here.
Mrs. Greta Campbell.
Here.
Mrs. Bobby D'Alessandro.
Here.
Mr. Fred Elliott.
Here.
Mr. Joe Mazurkowitz.
Here.
Mr. Joseph Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Harlan Parrish.
Here.
Mr. Cole Peacock is out today. Mr. Matthew Ropestorff is also out. Jay Santos.
Here.
Mrs. Sia Sherman is out today as well. Mr. Steve Shimp. Mr. Chris Semino.
Here online.
Mr. John Shannon is out today, and Mrs. Jada Langford Fleming was going to try to attend Zoom. I don't believe she's on. Okay. Yes, sir.
The minutes of the last meeting were circulated to everybody in advance of this meeting, and I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes, or if there are any amendments.
Move for approval.
I second.
Yes, sir.
Anissa is doing the minutes tonight because Chia could not make the meeting. She has an excused absence. And when you do make a motion, if you would be kind enough to call out your name very clearly so she can get the minutes properly, that'd be just great. We'd appreciate it. With that being said, I'd open things to public comment, and I would remind any members of the public that wish to make comments that we do like to keep that to 3 minutes or less. Thank you very much. Of March 27th, June 26th, September 18th, and December 4th, and please put them on your calendar so that you have them. I think it was at our 2 meetings ago when we discussed this, and we decided that the 6 p.m. time frame seems to work for everybody best, so we're holding that time frame. And next item is, I guess, my update. We have Harlan and myself and John Shannon going off the committee this year. Our terms are expiring. I have been advised that we do have applicants, and the board members are considering those applicants, so that we do expect to have a full house for the next year. Those people will be appointed after those choices are made, and that will happen at the board meeting on January the 7th. And also Chris and Chia and Greta are going to continue to serve. And, you know, I thank you, Greta. You and I have been here for a long, long time. And thank you for your service. We really appreciate that. The communication department continues to contact chambers of commerce and some of our service organizations for us to do the presentation. And they've expressed to us that they'd like us to re-volunteer for those presentations. If you're willing to be someone who the communications department could contact and say, you know, for example, hey, Joe, could you pick up a presentation on this date to that group? Sarah will be reaching out to each of you individually within the next month to see if you could serve on that core group, and then they would contact and work through in order to get presenters. She has asked me to come back and do a presentation if you guys don't step up. I'm really hoping that you don't bring me out of retirement for that. I'd like to just have you pick up the ball, so all you good public speakers, grab that, please. We Now on the agenda would move to the board member update, and Jada is not present. She's at the School Board Association statewide meeting out of town. So I don't think we have anybody, there's no presentation from the board at this point for the meeting, right, Sarah?
No, sir.
Okay. So with that, I'll turn it over to Frederick and Padraig for their reports. Frederick Ross, and good evening.
Good evening. Frederick Ross, Executive Director of Facility Operations, overseeing construction, maintenance, and planning. For this section, representing our construction department, led by Scott Rickenbacker, and to go over projects they're currently working on as part of the sales tax. As a reminder, 4 phases start with the procurement phase, then into the design phase, the construction phase, and then there's a closeout process. No projects right now to report for the procurement phase, but going into the design phase, first looking at several HVAC projects. Of note that Cypress Lake High School is a really large-scale HVAC project involving the chillers, air handlers, and will have an eventual tie-in to the middle school, so serve as a central energy plant for both of those locations. Next, going down, 2 major plumbing renovations for 2 of our older schools where those plumbing systems are old and outdated and need to be redone. And then you see a nice list of traffic studies. You know, one of the key areas where, you know, we've seen the patterns of parents using the bus versus dropping off change since COVID. We get a lot of calls about traffic outside of schools, and these studies help, you know, do the analysis to determine what and if and what project would need to be done to improve those. So those traffic studies are ongoing as well. Next slides are that construction phase. These are projects that have been designed and that are actually you know, shovel in ground and starting the construction. First, the Veterans Parks Academy, some renovations in new construction, which includes the new construction of the Black Box Theater. Again, another HVAC slat and a roof renovation at the Mill Teal. Talked a lot about the Riverdale campus renovation that is ongoing, and then a badly needed re-roof at South Fort Myers High School, a roof that had not actually made its end of its useful life, but with the amount of service calls, warranty calls, it was prudent to move forward with that renovation. And then lastly, our closeout phase. These are projects that have completed. However, the staff is wrapping up all the paperwork, preparing for audit or going through the audit process. And you can see some projects, hopefully maybe you've been to or seen it at this point, like the new Franklin Park Elementary School that we're very proud of. They're wrapping up those documents to submit for audit. And then some other, again, those major HVAC and plumbing renovations, you know, those are, you know, key parts of that building envelope, and that we're looking to renovate and renew and keep going to revitalize that school and keep it online. And I think that would be our last slide. So those are all of our projects in those 4 phases, none in procurement, but the 3 phases that were listed. So I'll open it up to any questions about projects currently on the construction side, and I'll be back for another piece for the maintenance side.
Curious, when you redo the air conditioning systems at Fort Myers High, that's a pretty major project. Will you be able to keep the school open all through that? How's that going to work?
Yes. Was Fort Myers High School on here?
The design of it.
Oh, design, yes. So typically for any of our projects, we'll coordinate closely with the school principal and try to time that up best for what's going on campus. Sometimes it may be the summer. Sometimes they have activities in summer school going on, so summer might not be the best time, and they may have to, you know, try to stage it out around the school schedule. So I think it's an individual school by school basis, closely coordinated. That's one of the main jobs of our project managers within the construction department, is to coordinate those projects around the school schedule to have as little impact as possible.
That's a big undertaking.
Big undertaking, yes.
I don't see Fort Myers High. I see Fort Myers Technical School.
Yes, that's what I was looking back as well.
Yeah, I don't see Fort Myers High either.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was Cypress Lake High.
Yes.
Excuse me. I was just thinking of doing a high school.
Yeah, and then with HVAC as well, we also have mobile portable chillers, so if it's
Right.
necessary, we can hook those up while other repairs are being done. Yep. Any other questions on the construction? Thank you.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, good. Patrick with Infrastructure Services, Director of Technology Operations. So wanted to review our purchases for the last quarter. You'll see on the next slide, we did some server and security camera upgrades. One more slide, please. These were all middle schools and one K-8. These are both server as well as aged out cameras. The camera updates have better pixelation, ability to grab and ascertain images for everybody, greater resolution, all that's necessary when you're using the cameras and taking pictures. You wind up trying to zoom in and actually see things, and this is going to help a lot. So we took care of another 7, 8, 10 schools every quarter or so, and we had about a $4 million project going for this, and this is the third iteration. So we have one more step in this, and then we'll have finished up all of those camera upgrades. If you wanted to go to the next slide, you'll see how about 3.7 to 4 this year in those camera upgrades and server upgrades. All of those locations will have server updates, and all the aged out non-warranty cameras have been updated and working more efficiently with the systems there. And that's pretty much all we did this past quarter. Does anybody have any questions?
What's the red mean on the planned?
Those, I just wanted to highlight the ones that we took care of this quarter for you. So on the previous slide, we highlighted them a little easier for you, but then on the very large breakout, we wanted you to see kind of the servers versus camera breakout. I wanted to highlight what was done this past quarter.
Is the Cypress Lake Middle in conjunction with the remodel of the school?
So we would, once the remodel of the school is done, we will do camera deployments, and as part of that budget, yes.
So that's an anticipated.
That is correct. Yep. That is part of, that's more part of construction. A lot of that stuff gets wrapped up into the total construction, and there's technology purchases that are part of that, and then our operations people assist along with Frederick's group to get all that done.
So we deploy the same technology in all schools so an operator can move from one spot to another, right?
Correct, yep. That's one of the big things we're doing now, as well as trying to standardize a lot of the legacy stuff that's been out there. You know, you gotta wait for the right funding and the right time to replace all that. But yeah, standardization's a big item with the cameras and the servers. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. For the capital maintenance portion,
Yes.
got you back again, huh?
Back again. So now representing the maintenance department, Barbara Cedino and her hard-working team. I think the last time she and her team was here, there was some discussion about, telling the story, being able to showcase the story of the maintenance department and kind of what they've completed throughout the life of the sales tax. So this graph, depicts, back in 2014, basically their rotation dollars ended, and what that means for them is, they have their deferred maintenance rotation, so they have their HVAC systems ranked by school and know that they can, take care of 4 or 5 per year. That's their rotational program, how they, keep these systems going. Those dollars ended, and they weren't able to do that during that period in 2014. Then comes to the 2015 to 2018 period, where there were some limited funds, where they were basically kind of doing just kind of, what was broken, what couldn't last any longer, what had reached this absolute end of its useful life. Then in 2019, the sales tax kicks in, and they're able to start redoing those rotational program projects, many of which you saw some on the construction, and you'll see some on the maintenance side as well. And now between that period of 2024, they've completed approximately 50% of the sales tax projects during that time period. And now moving into the next 5 years, where they're looking to continue to maximize the number of deferred maintenance projects that they can do over the next 5-year period. Next slide shows just the kind of categories of different renovations and deferred maintenance type projects they've accomplished and completed within this period. I won't go down all the list, but we've, seen and talked about the importance of the HVAC upgrades. Some of those safety and security upgrades, from fencing to assisting some of what Patrick and his technology team were doing. All of these things, again, to maintain the building, keep that building online, and extend the useful life of that building to keep those seats. Next slide is a breakdown of the projects per level, so a total of 530 projects. Some at special centers, middle schools, high schools, and many at the many elementary schools that we have. So that was, their way of kind of trying to talk about the benefits and tell the benefits and the projects that they've completed. And then, outside of just, pure project completion, the next slide talks about some of the impacts of the upgrades. I want to get her numbers correct. So there's been success found in energy usage. For example, at Bonita Springs High School, the chiller replacement project has reduced energy usage approximately 49.9% when compared with the base year, fiscal year 22. These are avoided costs. Similarly, at Gulf Middle School, both a lighting and a window upgrade projects have reduced energy usage by approximately 10.8% when compared to previous years. Again, a cost avoidance that she calculates at about $31,000. So these projects are going in and they're saving us energy, saving us future dollars as well. Next slide goes into their projects that they're currently working on. Their dispatch status means that a PO has been dispatched and the vendor is engaged and begin working. You can see some door and flooring projects, some fire system upgrades. In the design phase, we have several chiller upgrades, again, focused on that HVAC system and keeping those online so we can keep the schools cool in the summertime. A restroom renovation. Moving down in those switchgear projects, very important electrical switchgears to keep the power on at those schools. Moving into some in the quoting stage and scheduling stage, again, several floor renovation projects, door upgrades, and fire sprinkler upgrades. Those are the specific projects they are kind of working on right now. With them, the way kind of the fiscal year works with their funds, they get those funds in September and immediately start kind of planning and dispatching POs to get these projects going so they can start having these scheduled, some for winter break, spring break, and into the summer break so they can, have all those lined up. But to execute those at the time, they have to, get things going, get the PO going, get the design going, and that's kind of what they do during this part of the fiscal year. So those are the projects for the maintenance department. Any questions?
Any questions regarding the maintenance projects?
So the dispatch just means that they've issued a PO for the work?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Frederick, when we redo lighting to LED, how many schools do we have that are incomplete with that? I mean, are we basically an LED district at this point?
The majority. I wouldn't say 100%, but I could get you a number about where we are with that LED replacement.
Payback's pretty good on that if you.
Yes. Another energy saving opportunity. Yes.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move to Kelly, and she'll be going over revenue and projections.
Good afternoon.
And Kelly, welcome. Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Thank
I
you.
guess happy holidays, that should be.
Yeah. So just to go over a couple of things, our total capital budget, new money, new revenue coming in is about $397.1 million. That does not include the fund balance, it's just new money. That's broken out to the sales tax at about $122 million, $123 million, and then our local property taxes is about $231 million of that. The sales tax budget is about $283 million in total. It's broken down into different areas, of course, that was approved by the voters. We have construction that's at 43%, safety's about 4%, capital maintenance is at 23%, technology is at 10%, and right now we have reserves sitting at 20%. Those reserves, as we move forward with projects throughout the year, will be put out into those projects as they go before the board for the final approvals of the dollar amounts. And also, some of that money is set back to pay some of the debt as we get through the years as well. As we're looking at our sales tax collections, we have seen a small decline in our sales tax collections from where we were projected to be. We are going to watch this for another quarter and see what happens, and we may be realigning our projections based on what happens coming around. But right now, we are just slightly below where we expected that we would be. When you look at, in FY25, we projected that right now we'd be at about 27.4 million, and we're sitting at about 26.5 right now. So we're just going to watch that a little bit closer and see if we need to make some more adjustments in our projections. As we're tracking the revenue, you can see, what our actuals were, what we projected where we would be, and then what we actually have collected so far. Our discretionary collections are higher than we anticipated, but our normal collections are lower than what we anticipated. So we'll just keep an eye on it and make sure that we don't overspend what we're going to be bringing in. Any questions?
Mr. Chair? It show, as I'm looking, if I'm looking at this correctly, you're showing the annual sales tax for 24 was 125 million, for 25 was 122 million, but you said FY25 sales tax budget is 283.
Some of that is the fund balance that carried
From the
over from
previous
previous years.
Okay.
Yes.
Other questions? Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
You can try to stimulate some spending during the Christmas season for gifts, and maybe we'll pick up and recover what we're running
Trust me,
behind.
I'm doing my best.
Good.
Yeah. I have 6 grandkids right now, and I'm spending like crazy on them.
There you go. With all of the reports, I would entertain a motion to approve the financials as presented.
Ms. Harlan, I'd make the motion.
Greta Campbell, I second.
Greta was the second. Any discussion on those? I'd call for a vote for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bobby, I assume that was an aye. And then related to the projects as presented as falling within the criteria that they should be, if I could have a motion with regard to that.
Joe Mazurkowitz, I'll move.
All right, thank you.
Harlan Parrish, I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Very good. Member comments. Anybody have anything to add to the meeting? I'd like to make one comment. I'm leaving, and I've enjoyed the service here, and I would give a shout out to the staff that we work with on this committee, because when they started out, they had I can recall that we might have appeared to be a pretty demanding committee, and the staff really put a lot of effort in at getting the reports to a level where we felt the information was meaningful and that we could really have a picture as to what was going on. I really appreciate that. And that also, the communications department, the website that's set up, and the cooperation we've had in the presentations. We have, this committee's been a pleasure in terms of the relationship between the administrative side of the district and our committee, and I hope that continues. It does take effort on our part, but not really a lot relative to what they do, and I just appreciate it. That also, I would encourage both the incoming members who are new and those who have us who have served. Serve as long as you can. My circumstances are such that I can't keep doing it. I think this is worthwhile, and if we continue to get out in the community, this may be a situation where the district enjoys a source of revenue that makes a difference. I was in a school last evening for a Christmas program. Proud Papa had to go to the grandkids thing, which was pretty spectacular at Lexington Middle School, and I couldn't help but sit there and look around and say, wow, we really do have facilities. And I think when the public gets inside our physical plants, they see something that's representative of a great district. And we're always in the business of recruiting teachers. I don't know how you ask somebody to work in a bad physical plant location.
Yeah.
And I do think you clearly have a recruiting advantage when a teacher walks into a classroom that's top-notch with top-notch technology and good security. We are in a position to recruit with our physical facilities, and a lot of that's because not only the tax, but the sales tax. So I thank you all for what you do. So that be it. I'd entertain a motion unless there are any other comments to adjourn.
Yes, sir, may I make a comment, please? I'm sorry. I just want to clarify what you stated earlier about Mrs. Campbell and some of the others who reapplied to sit on the committee. The board has not made any decisions on those appointments, so we do not know that those applications are confirmed. We will know hopefully sometime after January 7th when the board confirms those appointees.
Okay, all righty, very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything
Steve,
else?
I would like to thank you for your leadership. This has been a wonderful committee to sit on, and your leadership has been exemplary. Thank you so much. We're going to miss you.
Thank you, Bobby. You can gossip with my wife over coffee whenever you ladies get together and,
We do.
Yeah, there you go. Good. That being said, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. I'm not sure that's necessary, but Joe seconded.
I'll second it,
You're the
yes.
parliamentarian expert. Thank you all for your service.
You broke my record. Merry Christmas.